This conference will now be recorded.
Can you hear me and are you able to see my screen?
Yeah, visible.
Okay, just a second here. I am creating some data for queries. Unfortunately, I did not get time to do this. Well, this is current account. See 1001, 1001. This will be is this current account? Yeah. And this is fixed account. We have one record. Okay, let me create one more. 1002. Okay, card account. Is it card? Yeah. Okay. Let me remove this for confusion. Yes, 1001 CSC. Good. Let me click on one more. Yes, 1002. And this is transactions. Oh, I did not refresh this. 1001, 1002, 1002. Oh, let me remove this. New savings. Yes, 1002. 1000. New savings. Yes, 1000. 1500. New savings. Yes, 1001. 1600. Transaction data. I'm not giving the transaction ID field, but if you want, you can give that. Okay. 2002. 1200. Okay, save. 1000, 2500, 3600, and then let me create for one more, and I'll make it 10,000. Okay, done. Okay, now we have created some data in all the tables. Okay, so see here, previously we have discussed about the classes and we have finished a whole lot of topics. I hope you understood them and you have practiced them. Let me move on to the next concept called queries. Okay, query. What is a query? It's a question. Okay, in the class you will ask me the question. In case of any programming language, we will question the database to get the data. Okay, so coming to these queries in Dynamics AX, they are divided into three different types. Okay, they are divided into three different types. What are those? From that, the first type of query is called a simple select statement. Okay, a simple select statements. The first type of queries are called select statements. The second type of queries are called neighborhood queries, and the third type of queries are called X++ queries. Okay, so all the three will do the same thing. They will get the data from database, but you know there used to be a big question all the time. Why there are three different types of queries? One type should be enough. See here, each of the query is given for a specific purpose. Okay, what people will do is they will think we can use any type of query anywhere, but it's not the case. It's not the case. These queries should be used based on the requirement. Okay, for example, you have created a user interface. In that user interface, you have a requirement to show the total amount. What you need to show? You need to show the total amount or the total invoice amount, okay, on the screen directly. So at that point, you will prefer a select statement and then you will write a group by. You have a requirement wherein your form data source should have some 10 or 12 tables with some joins and all those things. Okay, with some joins and all those things. Then we will prefer AOT query. And you have a form data source, and at runtime, you want to modify that form data source. At runtime, you want to add a ranges, you want to add a filter, or you want to add one more table and join it. So at runtime, you want to do these things. Then you will go for XPP queries. The second big question that we will always have is which is more performant, select statement AOT query or XPP query. So whatever the query it is, it should be converted to the SQL and then it should execute it. The performance of all the three queries will be same. Okay, if you try to only pull the data and then display something, the performance you will find similar. Okay, please remember, because the performance is based on the SQL, not on the AX query. At the end, even if you write the select statement, it will convert it into the SQL select. If you write the AOT query, it will be converted into the SQL select. If you write the X++ query, it will be converted into the SQL select. And all the three uses the same logic to create a query, so the performance will be also similar. Okay, please remember this. Okay, and now how to work with these queries? I'm creating a new runnable class. I'm going to code and then a runnable class. I will call this as ICI select statements. ICI select statements. Click on the add button. It will add a new class with main for us, and then we will begin with the queries. See here, we have a concept called table as a class. What is the concept? Table as a class. Table as a class in the sense, and again, this is not directly from the Dynamics AX. We got this from C#. We have something called ADO.NET. Okay, there actually we can use the data table to get the data into a table. Okay, we can create an object and then we can create a single data row. Okay, so similarly, they want to do it in the Dynamics AX as well, but they want to make it more meaningful. Instead of calling it as a data row or a data table, they want to make it more meaningful. So what they have done is they have created a syntax. Okay, we need to provide the table name and then you need to provide variable name. So this is the syntax of creating a table object, but here we will call it as a table buffer. For example, I want to create a table buffer for address. ICI address. Now how many records can this address hold? Address buffer hold. This is similar to a data row. How many records can a data row hold? Only one record, unless and until it is an array. Here you cannot create an array of this ICI address directly. If you want to do that, you need to create a list types colon record, and then you need to store this table buffer into the list. But you cannot create array of a table buffer directly here. Please remember. Okay. Next, ICI address and then address. Now, the next step is what is the syntax of a select statement? The syntax of a select statement is very simple. Just we will have the select and then parameters. Okay, select and then we will have the parameters. So what are these parameters? These parameters can be find options. These parameters can be find options, and then we will provide a field list after providing the find options, and after providing the field list we will write a from And here we will have our table buffer. We will add our table buffer. Okay. And then after the table buffer, okay, this is not optional. Table buffer. And then what we need to write? We will have the index clause. We will have the index clause. And then we will have the options. And then we will have the where clause. Everything you are seeing in square brackets is optional here. And then we will have join clause. Okay. Everything you are seeing in the square brackets is optional. What is meant by optional? If I want to select data from the address table, select parameters. In the parameters, only one thing you saw is mandatory. What is the table buffer? So what I can do? I can simply write select address. Oh, it did not throw any error. It did not throw any error. Okay. Select address. Now let me type info, and then address dot city semicolon. Now I want to get the next record. I can use next. I forgot this how to use it, but let me try. Because in chain of command you have seen that. Similarly, select with next. There is one more address dot city. Okay, semicolon. So let me check if city is throwing any error. Let me rebuild. Okay, it is expecting something here. Let me write next address. Let me rebuild, and we will run and see what it does exactly. Okay, because sometimes people will have the requirement of selecting the first three records. Sometimes people will, because frankly speaking, you know, whenever I ask this question in the interview, I want to select the top three records. To select the top three records, you don't have anything here. There is nothing called top three, top four, top five. In case of SQL, we have na. What I can do? I can simply write select top three from, top three star from, top four star from. I can do that. But whereas in X, we don't have it. So at that point, what we will do is we will use select with next, and then we will use a if condition. Okay? We will use select with next, and then we will use a if condition. Okay? That's how we will do. But unfortunately, I can say most of the people don't know about this. Okay? But let's see whether it works in D365 or not. Just a second. It's loading. Let it load. Okay? It has loaded. Now let me run this. Run FI, and then we will see. Let me do one more thing in the meantime while it runs. Let me go to this customer table, and here you can see a company called USMF. I will change this to RURT because I want to create few more records. I will create one more record in RURT, one more record in USRT. Let's do that. Okay, wait. I'm waiting to hit the breakpoint here. Let's wait for a second.
Please come on.
Huh?
Are you hearing me?
Yeah, you're audible.
I asked you before what Dynamics Cloud, Dynamics On-Prem. I work on my company in Dynamics On-Prem. My company asks about the rules, anything in system On-Prem. How can do this On-Prem system?
We are on-prem only. We are not on cloud. Okay, because this is the local VM. If you remember, I told you to set it up using Hyper-V. Okay, this is the on-prem system itself. But whereas if you want to configure this
This local
on-prem,
VM,
yep,
this local VM, I know this. What's the difference between local VM and on-prem system?
that's what. If you have everything with you, that will be your on-prem. Okay, the customer is going to maintain everything. It's similar, like for example, if you take this OneNote, this OneNote is on my local system. If it is on your local system, it is on-prem. If it is on the Azure hosted or somewhere else, then it is a cloud. Okay, even if it is on-prem or even if it is cloud, development perspective, there are no changes. Development is same. Okay, whatever the changes that you will have is at the infra end. Okay, because in the cloud, setting up the environment is very easy, because from LCS you can directly create the environment and you can host it wherever you want. Whereas if you come to the on-premise, they will give you the packages and you have a documentation on how to set up for on-premise. You need to follow the document and then you need to do a setup. Okay, because the service AWS service is a website. You need to create a new website called AWS service and you need to configure each and everything to your on-premise system. Okay, that makes the difference. Coming to the
Okay,
development, and if
but
you ask me, yep,
you you uh, you mean I will do package in local VM and upload it on-prem?
hey, on-prem means it's your local system. Okay, on-prem means you are going to
Local
maintain the
system
server.
on-prem.
Yeah, you are going to maintain the server at your end. Okay, now how I am maintaining the Dynamics
You
365
mean
here, you are going to maintain it
access for
in the
that?
similar fashion.
Hmm.
Okay, so what will happen is in the on-prem system, you are going to install each and everything that is needed for Dynamics
You mean
365.
you mean local you mean local VM like on-prem? Yeah.
It's not, again, there is one more thing here. Okay, there are two ways. Sometimes what people will say is, I want multiple VMs. At that point, you will create a VM and then you will give them. Okay, you will install the and you can give that. The second way is they want to have a separate server. What you will do is you will go through the steps. Okay, let me tell you. Install server 2016. Install Visual Studio. Okay, this will be 2017 now. Visual Studio 2017. Install Office components. Okay, and then AWS service they will give you as a package, and you need to set it up. Okay, setup.
This is
Before
same
this, there is
system,
one more
yeah?
thing. Let me write it down. 1 second.
This is this is
Install.
this is same system.
Yes, for on-premise. Here you will have the Dynamics 365 extension. Extension for Visual, because you will set it up from the Visual Studio itself. And then once you have done that, you are going to set up databases in SQL, and then you are going to set up AWS service website. Okay. So what you will do is, these are the steps that you will follow at the high level. Server 2016, Visual Studio, Dynamics 365 extension for Visual Studio, Office components, databases, set up databases, and then AWS. You need to do all these steps. Okay.
Okay.
This is how you're going to work. And there is a second way. The second way is, if you want to go for the cloud now, then all these things they are going to do that. Now you can see this one now. This I have downloaded from LCS. And you can download and you can again update the configuration as well. That is also possible. But it's a time consuming. Whatever the way you want to go, you can. Okay. Now you can see here address.city. Press F10. It has printed the Noida. Next address. It has printed Bangalore. Okay. So please remember, whenever you have the requirement of selecting top 2, top 3, top 4 records, something like that, then you need to use the next clause. Okay. This is how we will work with the simple select statement. And if you have observed, in case of others, in case of if you say SQL queries, if you write select address, it is going to select all the data. That means all the records. Whereas here, it will select only one record. I told you table as a class concept. So let's say address is an instance. What is the address? Address is an instance. So how much data can instance can hold? It can only hold the data of one particular instance. One particular instance, which is one particular record. Okay? One particular record. That is how it works. Please remember. Okay? Now I am commenting this. Now how to fetch all the records from a table? To fetch all the records from a table, we have something called while select. While select address, there is no need of writing star from. If you write while select address, it will automatically pick it up and then copy, paste. What this will do? This query is going to fetch all the records from the database. Okay. And I told you that I'm going to create few more records. Let me create them. 1 second. I will take the address Chennai and flat number 123 address line. Gold shop road. Customer ID, I will give 2001. Date of birth, 1/1/1965. Email ID, d@d.com. Father name, Surya, male, 9460, 9460. Name, Kiran. Occupation. What is the occupation? Shop owner. Okay, let me write this. Save. Okay, this is for RURT. Let me create one more record for USRT. Okay, I want to create one more record for USRT. Address line Kottayam, address line 1. I will say Coconut House, 3001. Date of birth 7/8/1945. Email ID e@e.com. Father name Mohan. Gender female. Mobile number 98450 98450. Name, oh, we have given female now. Let's say Mary. Done. So, okay, we are done. Okay, now let me select. See here, if you want to select all the fields from a table, you need to use while select address. But actually, whenever I write while select address or select address, you can see there are few fields. For example, if you are not using, if it is a not a shared, you have a field called data area ID. You have a field called rec ID. You have a partition. Sorry. You have a field called partition. We have a field called rec version. So are you going to use all these fields? No. then why to unnecessarily occupy the address buffer with all these fields? So where we are going to use something called field list. What we will do is we will write while select city, state, country, and then you need to use from. Please remember, after field list, you need to use from. Please remember, you should never use select star from. You should only use field list. If you use field list, you are going to reduce the amount of data that the query will take, and thereby it will improve the performance. Please remember. Okay, this is not written so that we will get only few fields. This is written for the performance. The more data you pull from the database, the more load you are making on your query. Okay, so whatever you need to do is more data, more time, less data, less time. Okay, please remember this is very important. You need to use field list. Okay, now let me add a breakpoint here and then we will see whether it pulls all the data or not. It has hit the breakpoint now. If I press F5, it will fetch each record from the table. Okay, this is how we are going to pull the whole data from the table. These are the two queries. Okay, now this is well and good, but this is a simple query and we know how to write it now. Now let's move forward. Now you can see here, I told you that there is something called find options. So what are these find options and what do we have in these find options? In these find options, it will provide few options to us to make the search faster or to force the database query to be in some form or to update the record. Okay, so what are those? First one is cross company. So what is a cross company? In Dynamics 6, as I told you, we have n number of companies and it will support n number of languages. I told you already. So if you, let's say you have 3 companies or 10 companies, you want to pull data only from 1 or 2 companies, or if you want to pull the data from all the companies, then we have a keyword called cross company which will come into picture. If you want to fetch the data in the reverse order, then we will use reverse. If you want to fetch the first record faster, okay, because the processing is taking more time, so you want to fetch the first record faster, then we will use something called first fast. And then if you want to fetch only 1 record from the database, we have first only. If you want to fetch the first 10 records, we have first only 10. To fetch the first 100 records, we have first only 100. To fetch the first 1000 records, we have first only 1000. Okay, and to update the record in the database, we have for update. You need to select the record for update, then only you'll be able to update it, otherwise not. Okay, and similarly, if you are using a joins, there is something called force placeholders. Let's say you have joined by using some fashion and you want to execute the query in the same fashion, then we will use force placeholders. Okay, and force select order, both are like similar kind of purpose. Okay, force select order. Okay, and the difference is, what is the difference between select order and this one? What does the select order does and what does the placeholders does? Did anyone try this at any point of time? Okay, because force select order, and please remember this force placeholders is by default set if you don't have the join clause. By default, the force placeholders is automatically set in the query if you are not using any join clause. Whereas when you are using the force select order, let's say you have used the join clause, and in the join clause, let's say you have 4 tables: table 1, table 2, table 3, table 4. You have joined in one structure. If you want to force, because the SQL is going to optimize your query, okay, or I can say the AX kernel as well try to check what is the possible optimizations and it is going to optimize your query. If you think your query is fully optimized for a specific order and you don't want others to, or the kernel or the SQL or no one to change that query, then you are going to use force select order. Here no one in the sense, it's about the kernel and the SQL, okay, not about the people, please remember. Okay, if you don't want the kernel or the SQL to optimize your query and the order of the query, instead of saying optimize your query, I will say order, the select order of the query, then you will use force select order. Okay, and similarly, let's say you have added some parameters. Okay, you have added some parameters, and let's say if you don't want kernel to reveal the actual values, okay, then you are going to use the force placeholder. Okay, then you are going to use force placeholder along with the where clause. Okay, in the where clause, whatever the parameters you add now, those will not be revealed. Okay, please remember. And the next one is, let's say you have multiple tables and multiple joins and you think there is a concept called nested loop in SQL. Okay, because in SQL to optimize the query we have execution plans. Okay, generally what we will do is we will see that execution plans and then we will optimize the query. That's out of the topic. Okay, and if you want to force the nested loop in your joins, okay, then you are going to use force nested loop. Okay, and please remember, force select order and force nested loop, if you want to see how they are going to improve the performance? You need to have at least 1 lakh records or more than that. Okay, simply by having 4 or 5 records, you will not find any difference with select order of the force nested loop. If you have more data, then you can find the difference. Please remember this. Okay, these are a few of the things. And then what are the other options that we have? These are few of them. Similarly, along with this, we have something called valid time state. Okay, we haven't created any valid time state tables, but what is a valid time state? Let's say we have employee. Is employee permanently working in our company? No, he will be shifting. Okay, so what he should have? He should have two dates: valid from and valid to. What is the purpose of this valid from and valid to? Valid from indicates from when he joined the company. Valid to indicates when he left the company. By default, this valid to will be set to max date. Once the employee leaves the company, it will be set to current date. Okay, so this is the valid time state data. This is the time state data. If you want to fetch the records which are valid at a particular time state, then we will use valid time state. And remember that valid time state can be applied only on the valid time state tables. I will show you taking one of the example. Okay, now let's write queries for them. First one, cross company. Okay, in customer already I have applied the cross company now, so let me write it. So for cross company, I will take a container as well. Container, I will take con companies, because I want to show you fetching data from all the companies and then fetching data only from two companies. I will take here RURT, comma, the second one is USRT. These are the two companies. Now, while select cross company, find options, and then I need the customers table. So I will take ICI customers and then customers. Okay, cross company and then customers. Here I will say info customers dot. I am displaying only customer ID, and if you want to display anything else, you can display. Okay, currently that will be enough. Okay, similarly, I use it customer ID customers dot customer ID. Oh, let's say for example you want to display the name, you can use strfmt, and then you can say %1 hyphen %2 comma customers dot customer ID comma customers dot name, because I am selecting the all data here. Please remember, I am selecting the whole data. You need to select the field list only. Okay, and here I want to fetch data from specific company. Then what I need to use? Colon con companies. I need to use this. And similarly, let's say I want to use first. Okay, you can say first. Okay, and then cross company is not needed here. First customers. And similarly, let's say I am writing while select first only. I am using first only. Let's see how many records it is selecting. And similarly, I will write, I don't have 10 records, but if you want to fetch the first, okay, I have first only one. Okay, similarly, you can use 10, 100, 1000, all that things. Okay, now what happened is, let's say I have the customer ID, customer name. I want to remove occupation, or I want to update occupation to self-employed everywhere. I want to update some value to, as I told you, self-employed everywhere. How to do that? To do that, you can this, or let me take where it is empty, I want to update. I'll select customers where occupation equal to empty. Okay, please remember I am using where clause here. Where clause is used to get the data. Okay, to get the data where this one. If I need to update, I can use for update. Currently it's only one record, but please remember using this is very dangerous, because I saw the people who will try to use, because whenever you are trying to update the data using a select statement, you need to remember that this should fetch only one record. Okay, then what does it mean? You need to use primary index, unique index. Instead of calling primary, I will call unique index in the where clause of update. Because let's say occupation equal to empty. Occupation is not a mandatory field and it's not a unique index. So there is a possible that whatever the record I am expecting, I might not get it. Is that right? Whatever the record I am expecting, I might not get it. What system will do? It will simply fetch the first record it had and then it will update the data for it, which is a wrong thing. Which is wrong. So what you need to do? Instead of using where occupation equal to empty, you need to use where customer dot customer ID equal to, let's say 3001 is not available in this company, 1001. This is how you need to write. And then you need to use TTS begin customers dot occupation equal to, I will say civil engineer, and then TTS commit you can do. Done. Okay, you can do TTS commit. This is how you need to do. And then you need to take customers dot. While updating, I told you that there are multiple ways. Do update, update. I think I already showed you. So I'm simply writing update here. Done. The customer will get updated. This is how we need to use. Okay. This is how we need to use for update. Let's say you want to update multiple records with the same set of information. You need to use while select, and then you can update whatever you want. Okay, while select if you want to update all the records. Okay, or there is one more way. Okay, there are two things. Okay, one is update record set, insert record set. So what is this update record set and insert record set? Coming to the update record set, let's say you have some 100 records, or let's say in your table you have a condition. If it is greater than this value, then you want to update all the records at once. Then we need to use update record set. Insert record set. See here, the update record set or the insert record set, they are used to make the inserts or updates faster. While working with the insert record set, you need to use a temporary table. You need to dump the data into temporary table, and then you can dump the data into main table. That is the other way. Okay, but there are multiple ways to do that. I will explain you about them later on. Okay, just keep in mind about them, because generally they will ask you in the interviews. So how to make it faster? The update. You can use update record set, or for insert record set. Okay, because there are few classes as well. Record insert list, record sorted list. I will explain you them later on. Okay. Once we go ahead now, I will explain you about them. Okay, so these are the few of the options that we have available. Okay, and I told you about the valid time state. When and how exactly we use this valid time state? I told you there will be a time state table and we need to use the time state data for it. Is that right? We need to use time state data for it. Okay, to use that, we have a table called cost packing slip transaction history. Okay, cost packing slip transaction history. This is the table. This is a valid time state table. In this, the property valid time state is set to yes. Okay, I will call this as some trans or whatever it is you want, you can call it. Okay, and then I will take the date time, UTC date time, and I told you there will be two date times. One is valid from and the second one is valid to. Let me write it. Valid from, and then the second one is valid to. Okay, second one is valid to. Now I will take valid from equal to date time util colon, we have something called UTC now. This will get me the current date time, and valid to, I want to set the valid to as well. Mostly in the historical, there will be past records, but you can use the current date. If you want to get the data of the current date, you can use valid to in this fashion. Okay. So after selecting these two, the next step is select valid time state. In the bracket, you need to use valid from, comma, valid to. Okay. From if you don't want to use from, what you can do, you can simply write trans. Okay. So this is how we will work with the valid time state queries. Okay. And if you want to display in the info, you can say info str fmt. Based on the data availability, it will display or not, but let's see, comma, trans dot record. Okay. This is how we are going to write valid time state queries. Okay. Now let's see how this works. Okay. I'm adding a breakpoint here. Let me run through this. Let me add few more breakpoints. I want to add a breakpoint here, and then each and every time I want to clear the data so that it would be more meaningful. Come on. Now you know how to work with the find options, how to work with the field list, how to work with the cross company, how to work with the first. Okay, please practice. All these are very interesting. Okay. This is for update, and okay, this is for valid time state.
Can you send the course contain and your notebook?
Okay, sure. This OneNote you mean?
This is notebook. I know. I want this notebook.
Okay, I will send it. No worries. And
Uh,
for course content, you can check with front office. They can provide you. Okay.
and the course is finished.
Mm,
You make this before.
means if you could set up
What?
and install on-premise. Hey, to install on-premise, I need that. Yeah, I don't have the packages with me. If I have everything, I can show you installing it. I don't have them, and it needs a public IP as well. Because if you have
I
the
don't
subscription, on-premise subscription, then only you can get it. Basam. Otherwise, I can't do that. Okay, if I can do that on-premise, that means if I can, if I have everything from LCS to set up the on-premise, then I would have not showed you this piece. I would have showed you directly from the LCS itself. Okay. Yeah, now you can see here, I'm using, first of all, I'm fetching the data from all the companies. Let me run. 1 second, it's loading. Okay, let me run this again. Now you can see it is hitting each and every time. So I will remove the breakpoint and let's see. You got the records 2001, 3001 from all the companies. Okay, now I'm clearing this off. Now I have the cron companies. It should fetch only from 2 companies. So let me remove this breakpoint from here and then run. You can see it got only from 2 companies because the count companies contain only 2 companies are URT and USRT. Got it? This is the second step. And first, as I told you, you can't find any difference with 4 or 5 records. If you have more number of records, then you can find it. Next, can you see this? The first only got executed. I have used while select, but how many records did it fetch? Only 1. You know, most of the times I found this issue. What developers will do is instead of selecting the first, they will use first only. Please remember, if you are using while select and then adding the first only, it will fetch only first record. Now I'm using the first only 1. Let's see what it does. How many records did it fetch? Only 1 record. If you say first only 1, it will fetch 1. First only 10, 10. First only 100, 100. First only 1000, 1000. Please remember this. This is very, very important. Next, we are updating the data where record is 1001 to civil engineer. You need to use the transaction tracking system, TTS begin, TTS commit, and then you need to update the data. Okay. Now we are trying to fetch the time state data. Valid from and valid to are same. I'm trying to fetch 1 record. Okay, 0, because for today there is no data in it. If you do the transactions, then you will have the data. Okay. If you want to get the data from this table, you can go to the cust packing history and then you can get it. You need to give the date correctly. I have used today's date. Instead of today's date, you need to give the date where data exists. Then it will show. Okay. So this is how you're going to use the find options. Find options. Okay. Yeah, now it's your time. Please let me know if you have any queries.
Yeah, can we pass the date in hardcode format? Is there any specific format? Because for different time zones, the date format can be any. So is there any best practice that I can have? Suppose I want to hardcode a value.
2020-11-29 T000000.
Okay.
Okay. This is how we will pass. Okay. And it will not throw any error. This is how you can hard code. Okay.
Okay. And yeah, and one more question. I want to, when we continue with that, Mohammed someone, I think. I want to ask, I think in a more clear way, I guess. For the on-premise, suppose there are 5 developers and 20 users are there. And you said the sequels there. Please, can you open that note? No, one note. Yeah. So we need to install SQL Server. We installed Visual Studio 2017, and for 5 developers, we use that. There's the same VMs what you are working or what others have, right?
See here, even if you go for on-premise, currently what people are doing is to save the development cost. They are not creating the on-premise VM for development. They are developing on this box.
Okay.
Okay. They are developing on this box, and then you can check in the code to Git or TFS, and you can deploy it to the production. In production, there is no need of having the Visual Studio as well. Okay. If you want to set up the development environment, then I told you you need this. Okay. You need server, office components, and the database. The database server.
And setup AOS service website will be on the on-premise machine itself.
Yes, on-premise machine.
Okay.
Okay. Because I will tell you, I told you about the configuration, but you might be confused what exactly is this configuration. Let me show you. If I go to C drive, AOS service, 1 second, there should be a file called web.config. Okay. And if I open with, okay, let me open with Visual Studio here. We need to set up a few parameters. Okay. Because directly it is not going to work. You can see here, they have set up all the Azure AD parameters. Along with this, there will be the URL. 1 second. If I press Ctrl F, U, S, and C, can you see this?
Yeah.
Infrastructure ALM request base URL. This is for test location. And similarly, we need to set up the URL fully qualified domain name. This is very important. All these configurations should be done. So unless and until you do all these configurations, it is not going to work. If I use this domain name as well, for me it is not going to work. Why? Because I need to buy one domain name and I need to give that domain name and then I need to redirect. So all those things should be done. Okay, there
So
are
that
a lot of
domain
steps
name.
that we need to follow.
Okay, so
This
that
domain
domain name
name will be the client domain name.
Okay.
Okay, let's say if
Yeah.
your client is Big Bus or Redbus, then you will say redbus.com, like something like that. Okay.
Okay. In on-premise also the VM name could contain .cloud name like, or it can
The
be
name
any specified name.
you can give whatever you want. Okay, that's up to you.
Okay.
You need to
Okay.
follow the name rules and you can give whatever you want. Okay. Because while creating the data, I have given villain over there initially. That's up to you. Yeah. If you want to give some hero.com, you can give hero.com. That's up to you. But
Okay.
that should be available because this FQDN is there. This is very important. If this is not available, then it is not going to work. Okay. This FQDN is very important, fully qualified domain name. This should be available. This should be public.
Okay.
Okay. Public in the sense
Yeah.
it should be like google.com. It should be, you should be able to open that from anywhere in the globe. It's like internet.
Okay. Even that is on-premise, I can be able from anywhere like
Yes.
that I understand. Am I wrong?
Yes. You can do that, but if you provide access to the internet, because here there are again multiple things. Okay. You can set it up it as a public. You can set it up in a private way. Okay. For example, I will tell you, there will be few URLs. For example, if you go to the bank, okay, in the bank they will open the URL. That URL, if you try to open in your local environment, it will not open.
Yes.
Okay, because it's a wide area network. You can set it up, and that's a private IP. Okay,
Yeah.
it's a private domain. You'll have the public and private. If you make it private, then whoever you give the access, they will be able to open it. If it is public, everyone will be able to open it. Okay. Because it depends on the network again. If you go for a private network, because I will tell you, because to avoid the attacks, they will make it private in most of the cases.
Okay. So on-premise URL would be private URL.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
That's up to you. If you want to access only in a particular environment, okay, let's say you have some 100 environments, 100 places, you have your shops, and only in that 100 shops you want to access it, then you will make it private. Let's say you don't want to do that, you want to expose it to internet, then you will make it public. That's all depends on the client. Okay.
Okay.
That's all depends on the client. If he wants to expose it to the internet, if he's okay for that, then we will do that. If he says no, I don't want to expose it to the internet and I want only to be accessed by this particular 100 shops, we can set it up. We can create a VPN, virtual private network, and then we can set it up.
Access
So
it,
that's
yeah.
all depends on the client. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Next. Any other questions?
Course to lead, come on. And notebook.
Yeah, one note I will send you. Okay. You can for syllabus you can check with the front office. They will send it to you. Okay. This one note I will send it to you in the either on the WhatsApp or I will send a mail to these guys. Okay. I will check the possible way and then I will do that.
Okay,
Already
you can send by WhatsApp. I will send you a message in WhatsApp now.
One
I'll
second.
send
Otherwise, let me do one thing. Just give me a minute. Ping me your mail ID. I will send it to you immediately so that I might not forget. And later on, what I will do is I will upload this to the VSO so that you can download it. Oh, okay, worked. Okay, these are the problems with this one. Okay, give me some time here. I will send it to you. Okay, ping me your mail ID on WhatsApp. I don't have that mobile. Okay, ping me your mobile
I
number
sent
or
the
your
message in
email ID
WhatsApp
on
now.
WhatsApp. Huh?
I sent the message in WhatsApp now. Come on.
Okay, I got it. I will send it to you. Okay.
Check your WhatsApp now.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, man.
I will send it to you. Okay, thanks all. Let's meet again tomorrow, same time. Thank you all. Bye.